Howdy, howdy, and welcome to the Outside In podcast, where we talk about the latest happenings in facilities management and litigation support outsourcing. Today, we're talking about hospitality and conference room management with IC Operations Manager Maggie Cantalupo. Maggie, welcome to the Outside In podcast. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm in New York City, Brad.
Excellent. How's the weather?
Actually, it's very sunny. My space is well lit. I get a lot of natural sunlight here, so and it's
Excellent.
pretty mild, not too cold so far.
Excellent. Cool. Well, today we brought you on to discuss hospitality and conference room management solutions that IC provides for its clients. But before we dive into that, I'm hoping you can give us a little background on your history in the hospitality market and what makes you a subject matter expert.
Sure. The way I explain it, I grew up in hospitality, I would say. Since college, I worked in hotels. I worked as an event manager for about 10 years before coming on board with IST. And so therefore, in my experience in working in hotels and then the client that they brought me on to work with, I was able to create and implement hospitality there and then in turn nationally.
Excellent. You just touched on something I wanted to talk about with you. You talked about you came from hotels, and when people hear the word hospitality, they're going to naturally think hotels and restaurants. But hospitality is a huge part of managing large corporations, law firms, and educational campuses. So, can you kind of explain to us what hospitality is in that world?
Absolutely. I'm actually really happy that you brought this up because this is something that I've been trying to kind of communicate and get across because everybody does. They do think it's meetings, events, that's hospitality, and that's it. But it's not. It's essentially it starts with reception, and even if it's not reception, right? If it's the mailroom, it's the face. It's that first experience, that first person you see, the smile that they give you, the welcome that they give you, the communication that they're giving you, and working with you to find out what your needs are and to help you with those things. So even in facility management, they may even think the mailroom, that's not hospitality. That absolutely is hospitality. It's the emails that we're receiving, it's the care and attention that we're putting into the copy jobs that we're doing, the binding, the mail, receiving the mail, and going through our processes and using our software programming for that, and how we're working with our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I love where you're going in there. IC talks about how it's the company with passion, how we have a servant's heart, and you're talking about how hospitality, even though it's a direct business line we provide, it's an overarching feel for the type of service that IST wants to provide its clients, no matter what it's doing.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Let's dive a little bit though into more of the specifics of that hospitality service line. So when you talk about that, you mentioned meetings and events. What does that look like in a corporate world or a law firm?
So in a law firm, I mean, so in these corporate offices, they have their conference rooms. So they're hosting meetings all of the time, whether it be formal or informal. And so I mean, and there's always, they think you can just come in, sit down in a conference room, talk about whatever you need to, and it's really simple. Maybe we'll have some coffee, but there's so much more that can be done in terms of implementing some processes and procedures to help streamline these meetings and to give them some more added value, to make them feel more comfortable, to help with the success of these meetings, and that even includes AV. So whether we're working with their AV teams on site, even if we as IST as a company are providing the AV services for them, and then working with food and beverage, all of these things to provide more comfort for their meetings and more ease and, servicing the rooms ahead of time, making sure that they are set up, they are clean, neat, organized, they have the supplies and whatever it is necessary that they need to have a successful meeting. And then, of course, troubleshooting the equipment, because AV is always the biggest part of it. But whether that is an aspect of it or not, if they're just sitting to get down together and having a conversation, if they're bringing in an important client or another lawyer from another location, they're coming in, they've been traveling, and we want them to feel good. They walk in, they have their bags, they have their jacket, where am I going? And so even just to be there to greet them, to show them the way, to make them feel comfortable, take their coat, show them where the restroom is, let me get you a drink, and yeah, providing that comfort for them.
Yeah, and so that's a lot, and you just went over a lot of different things. So that's a lot of people just think it's put a sticky note on the conference room door that Brad and Maggie are meeting here at noon. Obviously, it's a lot more than that. So you got to have processes and technology to be able to manage that. Can you talk about that technology and the processes that ISC puts around managing these?
Absolutely. So, the software programming that we have is Confirm. I'm very passionate about this because this is what provides the structure. So, if I mean, there are a lot of clients that have their own programming, um, and some are Outlook. Uh, Outlook, I do not like to consider as it's great for calendars and appointments and emails. However, to actually, get processes out of that and to have that solid structure, it's not going to work. So, getting into Confirm, again, I keep mentioning structure. So, it really provides that structure. Our receptionist will take that information, they input it into Confirm, and then we have it streamlines the process so that we have all the information we need to then give to our hospitality team, or in the case if it's a site that doesn't have a hospitality team, it might be a smaller team, and it's just office services, and that's who's providing the support to these meetings as well. They still need this information communicated to them in a way where they have all the details and information necessary to successfully set up this meeting for our clients. And then ultimately with Confirm, then you're able to capture the metrics and get reports so we can forecast. We can see, how did we do last year? What did we do? So we can be prepared for the next year or maybe the next month, the next week. It's, so easy to just pull up. What do we have going on tomorrow? You see all the meetings. Okay. But what do we have next week? We need to see the week ahead of us or the month, so we can get proper staffing or work. If it's something that means working with vendors, it really helps us to be better prepared.
Excellent. I want to get into that forecasting in a little bit more detail, but before that, you talked about they can communicate to that receptionist to book these meeting rooms. But I'm a little bit of a control freak and I hate waiting for other people. And I also have this guilt where I'm like, man, I just don't want to tell that person to do this. So I want to do it myself. Are end users able to book conference rooms themselves?
They actually are. So the beautiful thing about Confirm is that it is completely customizable. So it is based on whatever the client's needs are, whatever it is that they want, what they're looking for. They can have as many or as little people having access to the booking software as possible. So if they want their end users to be booking these meetings directly, they can absolutely do that. If they want one person in charge managing it, they can do that as well.
Now, and you back to that scheduling. So you talked about, hey, well, managing conference rooms and Outlook's not a great thing. And I get that completely. But I live and die by my calendar, and I can't go to anywhere if I don't have a calendar invite that tells me exactly where I need to be so I don't double book or anything. So does Confirm, is it able to work with Outlook so that people are able to get those invites and know where they're supposed to be?
It sure does. So the beauty of Outlook, right? We all love Outlook. I love Outlook. We're all using it. It works. It's amazing. However, but in terms of booking meetings and conference rooms, you really need Outlook to work together with something else. So that being Confirm. So when we go ahead and we book these meetings in Confirm, we can send Outlook invites out to all of the attendees. So again, you have that control over, who's receiving these invites. If it's because you may also have maybe it's a executive who's just like, yeah, book this meeting for me, but I don't want to know anything. Like, I don't need the alerts. I don't need it's a distraction. I get enough in my emails. And that's fine. So you wouldn't want to include them, but then you have a whole list of attendees who are like, I need to know what's going on. And yes, I need this on my calendar. So yeah, that is the beautiful thing. And then also alerting others as well. So the IT and AV department, so then they know when their service is needed. And then once they get that invite and they can see, and they also can have access to Confirm so that they can forecast and plan ahead and then get in contact with these end users as well.
Excellent. You've been talking about IT and AV. You've roughly mentioned food and beverage. Does Confirm track this information from meeting to meeting?
It certainly does. So in Confirm, we will add the resources. So we will work with the client on site in terms of what it is that they supply, what they're able to provide. So monitors. Now the big thing being hybrid. So is the conference room hybrid compatible? And if they need I mean, flip chart, that's not really so much in terms of technology, but if they need a laptop, if
But
they're
if they
using
wanted it, they're an old school place that needs flip charts. They want to be able to say, I need a flip chart.
absolutely. So, yep. And so any of those things, so, we're able to select them and to add them to the booking so we know ahead of time. But I mean, most importantly is that then this communication is being sent to the IT and AV department. They get the schedule every single day. Confirm automatically will send it out to them and anyone else that you choose. So we have a master schedule that has the list of meetings for the following day, and that will get sent to whoever it is you need it to be sent to so that they're prepared for the next day as well.
Excellent, which kind of leads into that forecasting and then making sure that while AV can probably be turned same day, I imagine food and beverage often needs to be turned days or weeks in advance.
Oh, yes. So we work the program that we work with here, and I know it varies wherever you are in your city, state, but we work with Seamless. But whether it is Seamless, if you're not sure what Seamless is, and if you have a particular caterer, whatever that may be, but we were actually able to integrate Confirm with Seamless. So we set up an account with Seamless. So this particular client has their job code set up with Seamless so that the individual departments are able to wait, let me rewind a little bit. So I get ahead of myself. I get very excited. So there's just so much
I
to
love it.
talk about.
I love it. This is such a fun topic to be excited about.
It is. I'm just like, talk to me about hospitality. Here we go. So, okay. So when we book the conference room, we start actually with a meeting request form. The meeting request form, I think, is a huge benefit and resource to our clients because it sets them up with the information that they need to provide that's important to having this meeting arranged. So you're going to start with the general information, right? The date, the time, who it's for, how many people, and even if you have a particular conference room request. And then it'll take you to the AV and IT needs. So maybe you need that, maybe you don't. You could select that and then go into further detail with that and check off what else you need. And then the next part is food and beverage. So if you select that, yes, you need food and beverage, once you submit that form to the receptionist, our clients will receive, the end user will receive a link for Seamless. So that's how we do it with Seamless, but you can do that with other companies and caterers as well. And then they're able to place their food order for whenever it is they need it. They have access to all these various restaurants and caterers. And this is in having the end users do it directly. However, we have our team place orders too. So if they want our receptionist to place the orders for them, we can certainly do that as well. And then because we have the account set up with Seamless, so whether it's Seamless or with your caterers, the billing goes straight through to that job code. So now the end user no longer has to deal with what is so much fun, expense reports. I
Right.
love expenses, don't you?
Oh, it's my favorite. Love numbers.
It's amazing.
So this
So
is
yeah.
fantastic, and I think we've done a great job of really understanding the power and flexibility of Confirm to improve people's hospitality services. But what we haven't talked about is how do you know the room's going to be available for you, and how do you make sure someone doesn't steal your room? There's nothing worse than you book a room, but there's no visual cue to let people know that it's your room, and someone else decides to sit in there on an impromptu meeting.
So also the beauty with Confirm is that there you are unable to double book a meeting. So there is no way you will be able to book that room if someone else already has it reserved. It won't allow you to. You can't do it. And you can see and confirm if that room is available or not. So if your clients, your end users have direct access to that, they can see that in the scheduler if a particular room is available or not. Then maybe if they need to have a conversation with the person who has the room booked and they want to have that internal conversation, they can do that, to work that out if the room is that important to them. Or they're able to see what other rooms are available that may fit their needs. And or in the case, where they have our receptionist booking the meetings for them, we would be able to work with them and then also work with the end users as well to ensure that everyone is accommodated accordingly.
Are there any other visual cues around a conference room that Confirm can help with to make sure that person doesn't just pop in a conference room right before a meeting?
Well, we actually, there is technology, which we have provided tablets at one time outside of the conference
Okay.
rooms that we set up. So then that way they can see if the room is available or not. And they could even potentially go through there to see when the room is available. And that way they won't touch the room.
Excellent. One more thing, kind of going back to the management of those rooms and stuff. Obviously, it's very often you have a lot of meetings in a conference room, in the
Mhm.
same conference room in a day and everything. Certain meetings don't require a whole lot other than maybe a notepad, and other ones then we get into AV and all of that. How do you ensure that your team has a chance to be able to properly flip rooms in between meetings?
So we use the banquet event orders.
Mhm.
So through Confirm, once the meeting is booked and all details are entered into Confirm, it not only generates this master schedule that gives you this overview of what is needed for each of those meetings, but then you get into further detail with the banquet event order, and that is the menu, so to speak, as to everything that room needs and what time. And we also incorporate what we call buffer times. So we have a process or a procedure that is the room has to be set a minimum of 15 minutes prior to the start time of the meeting. We can also do 30 minutes. And that way the room is set so that if you have any guests who arrive early, that room is already done in sight. You don't want to be down to the wire, down to the second. The meeting starts at 9 o'clock and we just finished putting out the last pen at 9 o'clock.
Right.
And then that buffer time also has to be at the end of the meeting because we need time to go in there to then clean out the room and reset it for the next meeting.
Excellent. It really sounds like you've thought of everything. And so I assume you're going to have an answer to this one too. At our corporate headquarters here, we have a lot of different conference rooms and they seat different amount of people and some have different type of layouts. How does a person when they're booking, if they don't know a specific conference room, know that a specific this conference room can meet their needs or this one can't meet their needs?
Well, we have, we have a document, a list of all the conference rooms. We have of the details for it. So how many people it can accommodate. So the first is how many chairs are in the room, and then also the max capacity that can be seated in the room. So if we need to bring in additional chairs, and so also confirm will only allow you to book that room for that meeting as long as the amount of people will actually fit in the room. So they will be able to see that way. And then as well as what I was mentioning earlier in terms of the IT and AV needs, that also is listed in there. So they would be able to see if I need a Polycom or I need to use the room computer. Does this room have that, or does it have microphones in the table? Whatever it is, they would be able to double check that as well.
Excellent. What am I forgetting? Am I forgetting anything about Confirm? I mean, I've been blown away by what this product can do.
It's amazing. I think the next thing, or maybe sort of final thing, would be the QC process, because
Oh,
that is something that IST is, we have our scans set up, right? So we have our scans set up for our mail runs and also for hospitality runs for checking the kitchens and the conference rooms to make sure everything's neat and clean. So how do we ensure that our staff and our team is actually following through on this schedule? The tools are there, the information is there. Now they just have to do it according to what the schedule says, right? And we also, checks and balances, dot our I's, cross our T's. So through Confirm, there is a window of 15 minutes. So we have to check the conference room 15 minutes prior and then as well as after the meeting. And so we have a supervisor who then goes around with either a tablet or a laptop, and they will check the room against the banquet event order and then sign off on it through Confirm that it actually has been set up in time. And then they're following the same process again when that meeting ends. And then at the end of the day, Confirm will generate and send out a final master schedule showing exactly what took place and if it was completed on time, if it was cleaned on time. And if for some reason it wasn't, maybe the meeting extended, and that can happen, right? Meetings run late. So they're not going to be able to get in there according to the schedule. They're able to put notes in there as well. So again, it's coming back to that communication and just knowing what's going on, if they need to go back to it, and so on.
it sounds like you want to make sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted. That's amazing.
Absolutely. I have control issues too, Brad. So
Oh, excellent. Love it. You talked about a little bit earlier hybrid, and I would be remiss if we didn't talk in a little bit more detail because it is the new norm. How has hospitality at IST changed with this new remote hybrid work environment?
So now with hybrid is actually um, what's been bringing more people into the office, what's been bringing them together. It's, working more with the IT and AV departments, and getting these conference rooms set up with these new capabilities and technology, working with them on that communication as well, creating new signs, and how to put those in the room. And also, we've seen a lot more volume, and it just continues to increase. And because people, we're social by nature, right? And not everybody loves to be around people, but to some extent, but it is necessary. It's necessary. We know this and we understand this in businesses, right? And that's how we grow. That's how businesses grow, right? It's important for us to meet with our clients, even if it's just as we are right now on a screen, which is extremely helpful. It allows us to reach out more to more people. So, if I'm in New York and I have some team members in California. Now I could work more collaboratively with them, as well as having my team here in New York. So it's able to bring us all more together. Um, but it's been huge in getting people together again and getting out of isolation in some way. Just the work from home, which is great, that it allows more flexibility, but it's still so important for us to just down together and have the conversation, and then still be able to bring the others that are part of our team in there as well.
Well, what you said about volume, because that's what I was going to kind of talk to you about a little bit, is if you'd seen an increase in meetings, because I know in my life, I meet more now than ever when I have people in the office. So now we're changing and we're all in that hybrid approach. But when multiple people are in that office, we're going to be setting up meetings so that we can have that human interaction, that face-to-face collaboration, but knowing that conference rooms have the technology to bring that one remote person, two remote people still into that meeting has been great. So it's great to hear that the bias that I think I have more meetings, you're actually seeing in real life and at your sites.
Yes. So ultimately, it's the growth. So, and that is a big part of One Confirm. It did provide us the ability to grow these businesses. So we saw, several years ago when we were implementing it. I mean, quite a few years ago now, we were able to expand from doing just basic office meetings to events, and where clients of the client were requesting to come into the client's offices to host their own meetings. And now, in terms of hybrid meetings, we're seeing that growth again. So now the draw to bring people into the offices is having these hybrid meetings. And, like we were just saying, bringing them together to work more collaboratively in person. You're able to get so much more done that way. And they continue to increase every week. There's so much more happening. And I mean, hospitality really has been a vital role. It always has been. And it's proving to continue in that way, even as things have been changing and they're continuing to change. Hospitality really has been kind of the heart in all of this, I think.
Yeah, I would have to think that Confirm helps there be more meetings too, because people are able to properly visualize what rooms are available, when they're available, and be able to schedule with confidence. Where in the past, but without a Confirm, an Outlook, and you just don't know, you're probably less likely to book a meeting if you don't know you have a space for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, Yeah, this has been absolutely fascinating. Absolutely loved it. I want to touch on one more thing with Confirm. So, how do the clients receive implementing this new system from what they had before? Was this something that was easy to implement, something that end users are able to quickly embrace? Is it a user-friendly interface?
Absolutely. I think initially, it's change, and people tend to struggle with change. It's a normal, natural reaction, right? But when we're able to really show them what it does, what it can do, and the flexibility of it, and how we can, work with them based on their needs and tailor it to what their needs are. The implementation process is actually it I mean, it makes things so much easier. There is no complaint. It's almost instant. Um, when I came into this particular site, they were using Outlook. I mean, their meetings were off the charts. They were averaging 600 meetings a week with 50 conference rooms. So, and using Outlook to book all of this. So
Right.
their biggest complaint was every time I go to a conference room, there's somebody else in there. They double booked my meeting. So, there's always some resistance with what is this? What do we have to do now? And but it was immediate change. Once we rolled it out and we implemented it, it was immediate change. And we worked with them as well in terms of we arranged meetings to show them how to do it. We had trainings, explaining to them the process, how it works, how it's going to benefit them, allowing them to ask all the questions that they have, and then guiding them through it, and then also with our team as well. And yeah, it was instant.
Excellent. I got just one last question for you. You've been able to see a lot of change over the past 5 years in hospitality. Obviously, you got to shift from that more what we traditionally think of hospitality, that hotel world, into the professional world and doing it. How do you see this service area adapting and changing in the next 3 to 5 years?
I see, in terms of service, um, I see it in growing more, yes, with the meetings, right? We know that the hybrid meetings, but I think the level of service, like that true concierge, white glove level of service. And that's actually been the direction I've been seeing IST going in, um, you know, for the past several years now, and we're continuing to grow in that way to really give our clients that one-on-one attention to, really look at their operation and processes and procedures they have in place and technologies that they have. And, what can we offer to them, or what can we take from them and merge with what we have? Or, if we just have to bring in our own processes, whatever it is, but we're sitting down with them, and we're working with them, we're analyzing, we're assessing, and we're giving these options and opportunities. And from there, the clients could then, turn over this higher level of service in their own offices.
I love hearing that. And I love, we started this interview with you talking about how hospitality is everywhere and it's really the face of what all service should be. And, when you think about a mailroom, it's pretty hard not to have that visual thought of Will Ferrell and Elf in that dark, dingy mailroom. And you don't think white glove and you don't think concierge. So it's amazing to hear how your passion and desire for driving change is to take people away from that view of a mailroom and make them feel like they're at the Ritz. They're at
Absolutely.
that high end experience and getting that one-on-one touch. That's just such a amazing way to hear of the service and these changes. It's really inspiring.
Well, thank you, Brad. I mean, I love it, and our teams love it. It's allowing them to be in this space that, they feel good working in. And then it snowballs from there, right? So it's going hand in hand with how they're treating the clients, and clients are treating them, and they're working in this space that they care about, and they're continuously looking at to improve. How can they improve it, make changes? I mean, 'cause there's always changes and ways of improving. So thinking outside of the box, and so on.
Maggie, this has been an absolute pleasure. I've learned more than I ever thought I could about conference room management. And it's just been wonderful to see your passion, not only for IST and hospitality, but just for providing amazing customer service.
Thank you so much, Brad. I was really happy to be here and have this conversation and be able to share my passion with you.
Excellent. Thank you all for listening to today's podcast on hospitality and conference room management with IST Operations Manager Maggie Campalupo. To learn more about how IST can manage all of your facilities management needs, please go to istmanagement.com. And as always, if you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and share.